Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk about the fact that a lot of people don't seem to grasp that you are not unique snowflakes, and a good program is a good program. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on scaling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And this is the exact opposite of what you see everyone else out there in the community saying. Everyone else out there, oh, you got to find what works for you with training or whatever. Really? Like, are you people aliens? Are you a different species? Because for the most part, there's not that much difference between humans. Some people are going to get better results than others. Some people have different structures. Some people are going to gain muscle faster than others. Some people are going to gain strength faster than others. Some people are going to look different with the same amount of muscle because of your structure and your shape. But everyone's muscles respond the same to training. In fact, people talk about these differences between individual men. You know what we found? Men and women don't even see a different response from training. Women just gain muscle slower. Their muscles respond the exact same way to training in studies that men's do. So even the variation there's more genetic variation between men and women than there are between individual men as far as any of this stuff goes, and even they respond the same. The only reason maybe you run a program that doesn't work is because either it was poorly written or you didn't follow it properly. And you see someone else maybe run something and get results, so maybe they're just so genetically gifted or they're on enough drugs that they gain muscle way, way faster than you do. And you just got to accept that. It doesn't mean that a program was better for them than it was for you. And if you guys don't believe this, then I want you to think about outside of this whole fitness and bodybuilding world. You know, there's a whole world of training out there to where people make millions of dollars based upon their athletic performance. There's an entire sports world. That used to be the main reason people trained, was for sports performance. Well, here's the thing. A good program is a good program. Go look at some college football teams out there. All right, yeah, there are teams where people have individual programs, but there are football teams to where the coaches know if their people don't perform, they're going to lose their job. Their pay is going to be based upon the performance of their athletes, the performance of their football players. All right, American football, you have to be big, you have to be strong, and you have to be fast, even at the college level. Well, there are D1 teams out there to where the whole team is on the same off-season program. What? There are teams to where the strength and conditioning coaches put the whole team on the same program. I'm not saying there aren't teams with individual programs. I'm not saying some of these guys don't get individual accessory work or sport-specific work, but a lot of them, their basic weightlifting routine in the weight room is the same. And I mean the running back and the center are on the same training program, the same strength training program. And you know what? All of them get big, all of them get strong, and all of them get fast. They have different bone structures. They have different positions on the field. They have different genetics. Now, they're all decently genetically gifted or they wouldn't be sitting there on a scholarship on a D1 football team. Yet there are coaches who know that the performance of their people is going to affect their job. It's going to affect their career. Yet they will still sometimes put the entire team on the same off-season program to get them bigger, stronger, faster. Why? Because a good program is a good program. A well-written program is a well-written program. If you're on a good program, everyone who runs it, as long as there's some variation allowed for individual recovery rates. And as you get more progressed, there's some room for accessory work for weaknesses. A good program will make anyone bigger and stronger who runs it, unless they're a total no-gainer. That's a totally different topic. There are people who cannot gain muscle, tiny percentage of people. But outside of that group, everyone will make gains on a good program, all right? And there are dozens of good programs. There is no find what works for you. No, the only thing that you've got to figure out what works for you is how to reprogram when you stall. But here's the thing, if you're stalling all the time, you're plateauing, maybe someone didn't give you a good program. Maybe the program you're on isn't well written because it doesn't account for that. But you know what? You're still going to grow on a good program. Individual weaknesses can be addressed with accessory work. That's why it exists. But a balanced, good program is a good program. Any program that is properly written, properly periodized, everyone can make gains on. That's why you can take the same program and put the whole football team on it and they still go on to win championships. The whole team gets bigger and stronger on it. Some of them have been training more years than others. You know, some guys don't start lifting weights till they get their scholarship. There have been cases of that. Guys who don't even start lifting weights till they get to college. Other guys started lifting weights at 12 years old, and by the time they get to their scholarship, they've been lifting for 6 years. You know what? They still put the guys on the same strength and conditioning program sometimes, and they all excel. You know why? Because they're all focused, they're all on a good program written by a good coach, and they're putting their effort in. They're following the program, they're progressing. So this idea that people have, they've been given this, and it's unfortunate because we have a whole generation of people who've been taught in the Western world that they're special, unique snowflakes, that you're so unique compared to everyone else that must mean that you must need different training programs for people. And people market to that. When people talk about this, find what works for you, who are out there putting out info and making a living, that's marketing. They know that people have been told that they're special and unique and different from everyone else, and so they market to you. But that's BS. That's nonsense. Yes, there are differences. Yes, we have different bone structures. We have different muscle insertions. But you're going to gain muscle in your entire body, every muscle in your body, on a good program. Okay? Doesn't mean it's going to be ideal for you. Maybe there's another program out there that would help you gain muscle 10% faster. You know, it might exist. But you're not going to notice 10% difference. A good, properly written program is a good program. All right? You will get bigger and stronger on it. I don't care what style it is. I don't care whether it's a linear periodization. I don't care whether it's concurrent periodization. I don't care what rep ranges and volume they use. If it's properly written and balances the different elements, you're going to make gains on it. All right? There is no unique snowflake who 80% of people gain muscle on this program and 20% don't. Again, the only difference being if you get pushed too hard. All right? Like, so there will be programs to where the workload is simply too much, in which case you've got to run a variation of that program. Because there can be too much workload for your recovery. But oftentimes there are lifestyle factors involved. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you're not in good health. Maybe you don't get enough sleep. Maybe you have a really stressful job, and that can interfere with a good program. But that's your lifestyle interfering, in which case you have to go to a less aggressive program. But if your lifestyle is in order, and not everyone has the ability to make it in order. I understand that there are people who work 60 hours a week and have small children. Okay, that's understood. Means you can't run the best programs out there, obviously, and that's okay. You can run scaled down versions to deal with your stressful lifestyle. But there aren't programs out there that stimulate good muscle growth and strength in one person and not in another. It doesn't work that way. So if you have a bunch of people who are running a program and a bunch of people don't get good results on it, but certain people do, you have to understand maybe the only people getting good results on it are either on drugs, genetically gifted, or both. And that tons of people flounder on it whose lifestyle is allowing them to recover, so it's not a workload issue per se. Maybe it's not that good of a program. But I would go back to the point of people who think that they're unique and that everyone needs a special, unique program and that you just have to find what works for you. That's complete nonsense. No, there are programs that people run that might be a good program that maybe you don't want to put in that type of work, and that's okay. Not everyone wants to put in a certain amount of work. All right, maybe there are people who don't want to really train that hard, or they don't want to dedicate whatever volume of requirement is there. There are people who can't recover because of their lifestyle. That's understandable, but that doesn't mean it's not a great program. It just means it might not fit your lifestyle and desires, but as far as your body goes, that doesn't mean it's a bad program. Big difference here. It's a real big difference here when we're dealing with this stuff. And again, back to that point, if a good program wasn't a good program for everyone, then how in the hell do these coaches come in and put an entire football team on the same program? And they're very different programs. You go look at different schools, One school might be running an upper lower higher rep split that almost looks like a lot of bodybuilder, in the sense that they might be doing a lot of high rep work on big basic exercises with a few accessories. And you'll have another program, it's a 3-day-a-week full body, focusing heavily on power cleans, push presses, front squats, hang cleans, for a lot of explosive work and maybe some extra dynamic work in. But both of them will be good teams. They'll both be going to bowl games. Both teams, they're gaining size, strength, and power. They're getting bigger, stronger, faster on the programs, with the whole team on the same program in the weight room. Because again, they're not all unique snowflakes. They're different, but their bodies will still respond to a good program. And then they've just got to come in and do sport-specific training for their job on the field, or to shore up their own weaknesses. And it's that simple. And any good program will allow for that. It will allow for you to do your specific work. It will allow for accessory work. That's why I threw out a template that is an intermediate off-season template, and I left the accessory work completely open, because you've got to figure out your own weaknesses. You've got to figure out your own sport-specific training. But a good program is a good program. You're not unique snowflakes like your mom told you growing up. You're still human beings. You still have basic human genetics. You still have fairly similar muscle fiber distributions, even though they vary at individual. Your muscles still respond similarly to every other member of the human race. All right, you're not as unique as you think you are.